In this video, we decided to put Viking's free and reduced airfares to the test. If you've been looking at Viking Ocean Cruises recently, you've probably seen offers such as up to free airfare or reduced airfare on selected itineraries. But before you accept Viking Air, there are a few things you really need to check. We priced actual Viking Ocean bookings in the United States and Australia to see what these offers really mean for the total cost of your trip. And the results surprised us. By the end of this video, you will have a much better understanding of what to look for when choosing your next cruise. If you're new here, we're Rob and Nawa. We're not travel agents and we're not trying to sell you a Viking cruise. We research prices and booking details ourselves to help you make a better informed decision before you book. Our research showed that Viking Ocean does generally offer free airfare on selected cruises, but those offers change depending on the sailing, the season and the promotion running at the time. In the sailings we checked, free airfare was more common on longer cruises, particularly voyages of more than 15 days, and we saw it more often again on cruises of around 30 days or longer. A small number of those longer itineraries even included free business class airfare. But the much more common offer we found was what Viking calls reduced airfare. This was especially common on shorter cruises of around 15 days or less. With reduced airfare, the flight is not free. Viking quotes a separate airfare in addition to the cruise fare. And that airfare can vary substantially, even on the same itinerary, depending on the departure date and season. And that brings us to the first example we priced ourselves. We started with an iconic Western Mediterranean itinerary aboard Viking Jupiter, sailing from Rome to Barcelona on May the 19th, 2027. On Viking's US website, a Veranda V2 cabin was $4,999 per person. In addition to the cruise fare, Viking advertised reduced airfare from $1,499 per person. We then searched airfares independently. We looked at New York, JFK to Rome 2 days before the cruise, and Barcelona back to JFK the day after it ended. Because the cruise starts in Rome and finishes in Barcelona, this was a multi-city search. At the time we checked, the total was $772 per person. That is $727 less than Viking's advertised starting airfare, or $1,454 for a couple. Now, this is not a perfect like-for-like comparison. The independent fare has additional checked baggage costs, while Viking Air includes qualifying airport transfers. Viking's price was also advertised as from $1,499, so the exact fare can vary by gateway. But it still proves an important point. Reduced airfare does not necessarily mean the cheapest airfare available. Some of our viewers have been extremely happy with Viking Air. One experienced Viking passenger described it as top-notch, and others value having Viking organise the flights and transfers. But other passengers reported long routings with several connections. One viewer said a return journey became more than 20 hours. So compare more than the price. Check the airline, the number of connections, total journey time, baggage and transfers. And remember that your departure airport matters. A Viking airport offer that is excellent from one gateway may be much less attractive from another. The Australian pricing structure gave us the clearest example of how Viking's airfare promotions can affect the overall cruise price. Viking's Australian Flights on Us promotion applies to selected 2027, 2028 and 2029 sailings. It provides Viking booked economy airfare up to a maximum promotional value of 2,800 Australian dollars per person. Viking's own terms also say that if you make an online booking without entering another promotion code, Flights on Us is applied automatically by default. We compared two very similar, iconic Western Mediterranean cruises. Both sailed from Barcelona to Rome, both for 7 nights, and we selected the same deluxe veranda DV3 cabin category. The first sailed aboard Viking Vesta on December the 30th, 2026, at 5,145 Australian dollars per person. Just 13 days later, Viking Star was sailing the same route for the same duration in the same DV3 category, but the price was $7,895 per person. That is $2,750 more per person, or $5,500 more for a couple. So what explains the difference? The December 2026 sailing was not covered by Flights on Us, while the January 2027 sailing qualified for the offer. But Viking also offers an alternative called discount in lieu of flights. Instead of taking Viking's airfare, eligible passengers can receive 2,800 Australian dollars per person off the cruise fare and arrange their own flights. The promotion code is CCR28. When we entered CCR28 on the January sailing, the price fell from $7,895 to $5,095 Australian dollars per person. Now compare that with the December sailing at $5,145 per person. The difference is just 50 Australian dollars. So the name Flights on Us certainly sounds attractive, but it does not by itself tell you which option gives you the lowest overall cost. The real question is, are you better off taking Viking's airfare benefit or taking the $2,800 cruise discount and arranging your own flights? There is one important part of the Australian booking process that could easily be missed, and that is what surprised us the most. Simply deciding that you don't want Viking's flights does not automatically give you the lower cruise fare. We tested this. When we removed the Flights on Us code, the January cruise remained at the higher price. To receive the lower fare, you need to select Viking's discount in lieu of flights offer, or enter the promotion code CCR28 when you book. And that option is much less obvious. On the page we tested, we had to scroll to the bottom, open the full promotion terms and conditions, and find the separate discount in lieu of flight section. As we've just seen, using CCR28 reduced the January cruise fare by exactly 2,800 Australian dollars per person, and the resulting cruise-only price was just $50 different from the very similar December sailing before the Flights on Us promotion applied. So we then asked the obvious question, what would it cost to arrange the flights ourselves? For the January cruise, we searched from Sydney to Barcelona before the sailing and from Rome back to Sydney afterwards. We found an economy itinerary for $1,501 Australian per person, with one stop each way and 2 check bags included. Adding those flights to the CCR28 cruise fare gave us a total of $6,596 per person. The Flights on Us price was $7,895. Viking Air does include additional convenience and qualifying transfers, so this is not a perfect like-for-like comparison. So in the example we checked, arranging our own flights would have reduced the total cost by $1,299 per person, or $2,598 for a couple. Now that does not mean Flights on Us is necessarily a bad deal. Airfares change, and Viking's option includes the convenience of having Viking arrange the flights. But it does raise an important question. In our comparison, the two cruise-only prices were almost identical, while the January Flights on Us price was $2,800 higher than the January cruise-only fare, exactly the value of Viking's maximum airfare allowance. So is the airfare really an additional free benefit, or is its value effectively reflected in the higher package price? The United States works differently. For US Viking Ocean bookings, Viking Air is optional. You can arrange your own flights and still book the cruise. On the longer US cruises we checked, that generally included free airfare. We found no provision to exchange those flights for a lower cruise fare. If you decline the flights, you appear to forfeit the airfare benefit rather than receive a cash credit or cruise fare reduction. In other words, if you decline the included free flights, you appear to simply give up that airfare benefit. We found no equivalent cash credit or cruise fare reduction like the Australian discount in lieu of flights offer. With reduced airfare, you can simply arrange your own flights instead. But again, we found no published reduction to the underlying cruise fare. Before accepting Viking Air, we would check 5 things. First, open the exact sailing rather than relying only on the headline promotion. Second, compare the total cruise and air cost. Third, search independent flights from your own departure airport. Fourth, compare the airline, routing, baggage and total journey time. And fifth, check whether your booking market offers an alternative discount if you arrange your own flights. These details may not be obvious on the booking screen, so always look for the terms and conditions. That final check could potentially be worth thousands. For many travellers, Viking Air provides real convenience, and on some sailings it may also provide excellent value. But our research shows why you should never judge an airfare promotion by the headline alone. Check the exact sailing, compare the total cruise and air price, and see what the same journey would cost if you arranged the flights yourself. Because whether Viking calls it free airfare or reduced airfare, the question that really matters is which option gives you the lowest overall trip cost. Tell us what you think in the comments below. If you found this useful, please give the video a like and subscribe to Rob and Nawa Travels. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.